Siemano, z tej strony Olaf, jest ze mną dzisiaj
Matt.
i chcielibyśmy Was powitać w naszym nowym projekcie, w którym będziemy poruszać różne tematy związane ze światem futbolu. But let's talk about our today's topic, the NFL draft. One of the biggest switches was the Daniel Jones pick because Giants had better prospects for this spot, for example, Drew Lock, Will Grier or Dwayne Haskins. What do you think about that pick, Matt?
Yeah, I agree. Daniel Jones, he's a good player, but he's not great at anything. He's an above-average athlete. He can get out of the pocket. He can do some things. If you watch his college film, he made some nice runs towards the goal line. He scored a couple of short touchdowns. He can run with power, but it's nothing that he can maintain in the NFL. It's a different game. So he has all the intangibles, like he's intelligent. He makes good reads most of the time. He's going to interview well. He's in New York now, so being good with the media is really important. I think they wanted an Eli Manning type as far as his personality, and I think that's a big reason why they drafted Daniel Jones. He has prototypical size. He's 6'5". He's 235 pounds, so he's a big guy. That's attractive to a lot of GMs, but in my opinion, the NFL is moving in a different direction. I think the Giants are kind of trying to stay with the prototype, and in my opinion, that's not the best idea. There were better prospects there, like you said. He throws with anticipation, and that means as a quarterback, you can't throw when somebody's open. You have to throw before they're open. If you're throwing to a receiver when he's already open, that's too late. In the NFL, guys are too fast. They're too good. They're too smart. If you throw when somebody's already open, it's too late, and it's probably pick six. So he throws with good anticipation because he's coached well. He had a great college coach. His name's David Cutcliffe. He was Eli Manning's quarterback coach. He coached Peyton Manning for a little while, and the only reason he's the head coach at Duke is because how good he is with quarterbacks. He taught Daniel Jones great footwork, great mechanics, and to throw with anticipation, and he gave him a great scheme to play with in Duke. On the downside of that, he only completed 59% of his passes, which, if this guy has great mechanics, he has great footwork, he has a great scheme to play in, and he's only completing 59% of his passes. That tells me that he doesn't have much of a ceiling. So that means he doesn't have much room to grow. He's already great in footwork. He's great with the mechanics. There's not much to fix, and he's already throwing 59% at Duke. So, in my opinion, that's not great. He has above-average arm talent, which he can make most of the throws in the NFL, but he's not going to wow you like Patrick Mahomes or Aaron Rodgers or even Josh Allen from last year. So, in my opinion, he's a good player. He's not worth sixth pick in the draft. That's a big reach.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
You have any other picks that shocked you?
Shocked? No, but surprised me, yeah. Titus Howard, he was drafted by the Houston Texans in the 20s. He's 6'5", he's 322 pounds, so he's a big guy. He plays offensive tackle. He was drafted in the first round by Houston. He has the size and power to play in the NFL. He's a big guy. He pushes people around. But in the combine, he only had 21 reps, which is a little concerning to me. There's receivers that can bench 21 times. So he has heavy feet, and by that I mean he doesn't have the quickest feet. His feet are a bit slow, and to be a left tackle, you can't have slow feet. So they drafted him to be a left tackle. I don't see him playing left tackle. Anytime you draft a tackle in the first round, he better be able to play left tackle. So they're probably going to kick him over to the right tackle. If he plays against anybody with speed, a speed rusher, quickness like a Cameron Wake or Von Miller or anybody that has a good first step, he's going to be in trouble. In my opinion, that doesn't draft him in the first round. I just don't see it. I think he's a third round guy. He played at a smaller school, Division I AA, Alabama State, so he's pushing around guys that aren't even going to be on practice squads next year. He's pushing around guys that you might see playing in Poland next year. And he's a redshirt senior, and that tells me he's a fifth-year guy, so he's one of the oldest guys on his team, probably one of the oldest guys in his conference. So he's a grown man playing against boys. So that's concerning.
Like if I'm playing versus juniors.
Basically, yeah. So if I line you up against one of our new juniors and you're just throwing him around, that's when you watch film, that's how Titus Howard. I mean, he has potential to be a good, solid player, but I don't see him as a first-round tackle If I'm taking a tackle in first round, he better have good feet. He better be like we talked about before, like you brought up, Joe Thomas. He better be Taylor Lewan. He better be somebody with good feet that can handle the speed rushers. I don't see Titus Howard being able to handle any speed rushers. Run game, he'll be good. Pass game, where the football of today's NFL is going, a lot of passing. I don't see him fitting.
Do you think that he needs a time in the NFL team to be better than now?
Well, one thing is, coming from a small school, is he probably didn't get the best coaching. He got good coaching because any American coach in Division I is good coach. But as far as working with elite offensive line coaches, he hasn't had that. I'm just concerned with his ceiling. Like I said, he's a fifth-year senior. He has very heavy and slow feet. And that's something that you can improve a bit, but you're never going to be Joe Thomas. You're never going to be one of those guys that can handle Von Miller all game. He's going to be in trouble if he goes against a good pass rusher.
Okay, that's fine. I see your point of view, why you picked them. What about steals like Greedy Williams?
Greedy Williams is a cornerback from LSU. He was picked 46 overall by the Cleveland Browns. To me, he's a top 15 talent. He's a guy that he's tall, he's long, he's 6'2". He has very long arms, so he has a lot of range, as we say. And the combine, he ran a 4.37, which is moving. That's really fast for a guy that's 6'2". He's the best cover corner, the best pure cover corner, in my opinion, in the entire draft. He's an outside guy, so he's not going to play in the slots. He's going to be an outside guy. But he's the best pure cover corner with the best ball skills, in my opinion. Mm-hmm. If he'd go in the top 15, I wouldn't be surprised. That's about where I had him in my draft board. But he went at 46, which is second round. It's not even. It's mid-second round. In my opinion, that's way too late for a guy like that, especially in a passing league, which it is now. You need cornerbacks, I would like to see even my team value corner a little more than they are in the draft. The one knock on him is he doesn't have great tackling ability, but as an outside corner, I don't expect you to be this killer that comes up and makes these tackles. I just want you to cover. I want you to shut down their best receiver, and that's what he can do. He has that potential, but for some reason he was drafted 46. He didn't have any combine interviews or interviews after the combine, which is really strange to me. I think that's why he might have dropped, but he's a great player, and I'm really curious why they took him 46.
Oh, okay. But how do you feel about Mac Wilson? Who is the teammate of the Greedy Williams?
Same conference, yeah. Mac Wilson played in the same conference, SEC, the best football conference in America. He played at Alabama. In most draft experts, he was the third inside linebacker overall. I had him there too. He was productive. He was also drafted by Cleveland, which that's two great draft picks that I think should have went much earlier. Mac Wilson, in my opinion, is a end of second round, top of third round guy. He has great ability. He has size. He's 6'1". He's 240 pounds, so he has the size to play in the NFL. He didn't participate in the combine, which means he didn't run, he didn't bench, he didn't run a shuttle. He interviewed with teams, which is great, but not having those numbers, those teams not having his combine numbers, I think kind of scared some GMs. Whenever they look at the whole draft profile and they don't see a 40 and they don't see what you bench and all that stuff. To me, that's not the most important is his film. If you watch his film, he's a tackler. He'll step into the hole. He'll make plays. And he was coached by Nick Saban. As you know, he's one of the best defensive minds in all of football. He and Bill Belichick are, in my opinion, 1 and 2 in all of football. Not just college or NFL, but all of football. He was highly productive. He had great coaching. Nick Saban said he should have stayed in school for one more year, but I think that's because Nick Saban wanted him for another year. He's only a junior, so that means he has room to grow. He's 20 years old or 21 years old, so he has a lot of potential. Right now we're watching, they're watching the Seahawks Lowlanders game, or Seahawks Panthers game, excuse me. And I guess it's a shit show. So.
Okay, and last but not least, Kelvin Harmon. What do you think about him?
Yeah, last but not least, Kelvin Harmon. Kelvin Harmon is interesting. He was really productive at North Carolina State. He played in the ACC, which, in my opinion, the ACC has the most modern offense schemes in college football. Most of the NFL teams are taken from the ACC in Oklahoma, as you know, with Kyler Murray and Baker Mayfield. But Kelvin Harmon, he's a wide receiver. In my opinion, he'll start out playing slot. He's a slot guy. 6'2", 220, so he has good size. He's more like a running back when he has the ball. He's not a guy that's going to run downfield and you're going to toss up to him, even though he can make plays like that. But in my opinion, you should use him mostly as underneath. He's going to be like a Jarvis Landry as far as where he catches the ball. He's going to be a short route guy, screens, shallows, things like that. After he has the ball in his hand, he's electric. He's great. He breaks tackles. He's tough to bring down. He's a good blocker. And he makes catches in traffic, which means with guys around him, with defenders around him, he'll go up and make great catches. If you watch the film of him, I'm sure you can pull up a bunch of clips where he's catching balls over guys. He didn't perform great at the combine. He ran a 4.6, which in my opinion, 4.6 it's not slow.
I ran 5 something.
Yeah, well, we're all good at our own things, I guess. So he ran a 4.6, which isn't bad in my opinion. It's not like it's not going to be like Paris Campbell. He ran a 4.3, but he's not that type of guy. He didn't perform great. He didn't run great, but he ran good enough in my opinion. I see him as like a Juju Smith-Schuster, a guy that is better on the field than he is in shorts and a t-shirt at the combine. Juju Smith-Schuster coming out, they said he was too slow. He's not quick enough in and out of his breaks. And then I'm sure you can pull up some film where Juju Smith-Schuster is going 80 yards and he's outrunning cornerbacks that ran 4.3s in the combine. And I think he's a little bit like that. He's great underneath. He'll be great in the slot. I think it's a steal in my opinion. It's a great draft pick. They got him in the 6th round too, I believe. 6th round, so
yeah,
crazy.
I also like the Will Greer pick, who was picked in the 4th round by Carolina Panthers. Do you think he needed to be picked higher?
For sure. A lot of teams had a 1st round grade on him, late 1st round, early 2nd. I had him there too. I had him ahead of Daniel Jones. I know you did too in your mock draft. Will Greer, in my opinion, he's the best word to describe him. He's a winner. You know, he's a guy that has all those things that you can't teach. He's a guy that has Tom Brady-like mentality. That you put him on the field and he's a competitor. He's going to compete whether it's overtime in a football game or you're going to race him to the end of the street. He's going to compete.
That means you think he will be next Tom Brady?
I didn't say that, but he has that mentality. He could be. I'm a little afraid of him being in the system of the Carolina Panthers. They've had Cam Newton for so long. They've run a certain type of offense, this power running style, this vertical passing game. They drafted a few wide receivers last year, just burners down the field. Will Greer can throw the deep ball. In West Virginia, he was a great deep ball thrower. He has great touch, great accuracy. He has an above average arm. But so did Tom Brady coming out, and he fixed a few things, and now he has, for being a 40-year-old, he has a pretty good arm. He has an it factor, which means Tom Brady. You look at Tom Brady, he has an it factor. You look at Aaron Rodgers, he has an it factor. Will Greer has that same factor, in my opinion. He started at Florida, which is SEC school. He got in a little trouble with drug tests or something like that. He transferred to West Virginia, and he's been one of the best quarterbacks, in my opinion, in the nation for the last 3 years.
Do you think he will be traded?
Traded?
Yeah, because we have Cam Newton in the Carolina Panthers now.
Mm-hmm. Well, Cam's the guy for now. In my opinion, they drafted Will Greer. It's not a need for them. They had Taylor Heineke, who was their backup last year. When he came in, he played pretty well for being an unknown guy for most people. But I think they drafted Will Greer because his value in the 4th round was just too much to pass up. Will Greer in the 4th round is a steal. I don't think they're going to trade him. I think Cam Newton, his body is wearing out. He's 29 years old now. He's run a power run game his whole life. At Auburn, SEC, he's taken hits. Carolina, he's taken hits. Last year, he was out half the season. I think they drafted Will Greer at some point, either this year or next. Cam Newton's going to break down, and Will Greer's going to step in. He's going to surprise a lot of people. So, no, I don't think they're going to trade him. I think they drafted Will Greer to be the next guy. Let's switch gears a little bit. Let's talk about overall drafts. What team do you think had the best draft? I know you said something about Kyler Murray before the show. Tell me a bit about what you think about Kyler Murray and the Arizona Cardinals.
Yeah, I think that he's smart move for the Cardinals because they picked Josh
Rosen.
last year, and he didn't fit for the scheme of the offense, and he's now traded to the Miami Dolphins.
Yeah.
That means he will have another opportunity to show up.
Yeah, definitely. First of all, that's a lifesaver for Josh Rosen. Josh Rosen in this scheme, the Cardinals just got a new coach, Cliff Kingsbury. He was a coach for Texas Tech. He runs an air raid offense, and with air raid offense, you need a bit of mobility, and Josh Rosen is just not that guy. Josh Rosen is the prototypical big, strong, good arm guy, kind of the kind of guy that 70s, 80s, 90s. That's the kind of guy you wanted. As you said, Kyler Murray was their pick, and he's a much better scheme fit for Cliff Kingsbury. He can move the pocket. One big problem with the Cardinals last year was the offensive line was awful. They're awful. And when you can't move the pocket with your quarterback, you're kind of a sitting duck back there. All the pass rushers know exactly where you're going to be. You're not going to run many sprint outs with Josh Rosen. You're not going to run many draws or anything like that. And Kyler Murray gives them a different dynamic. So Kyler Murray is basically, think of Tyreek Hill, they can throw the ball. That's Kyler Murray. He's the most dynamic player to come out in the draft in a long time. He has an arm that people would be very surprised that he possesses, only being 5'10". He has one of the best arms in the draft. He and Drew Lock, I think, and maybe Haskins and Tyree Jackson, but we'll get into that later. But they all have above average to very good arm talent. So he was the first pick. In the second round of the Cardinals, I know you like their draft, Byron Murphy. He's a cornerback out of Washington. In my opinion, he's the best slot corner in the draft. And with today's NFL, with spread offenses and the slot receiver becoming more in the game plan, incorporated in the game plan, like Julian Edelman and Danny Amendola, guys like that, you need a guy that can play the slot. And in my opinion, Byron Murphy's that guy. He's not straight line fast, but he's quick. He's a great tackler, and he's a perfect nickelback. In my opinion, he's the best nickelback taken. In the draft, he was taken after DeAndre Baker. Andy Isabella is their second round pick, 30th overall. Andy Isabella is a burner. He's fast. He can play outside or inside. He played at Massachusetts, which is a little smaller school, but he has straight line speed. He has quickness. He can be your Julian Edelman with a little bit more juice than Julian, or he can be on the outside like a Brandon Cooks. And in my opinion, that's a great draft pick. Third round, first pick, Zachary Allen from Boston College. I like Zachary Allen. He's productive. He's a big guy. He's strong. He's going to hold the point of attack in the run game. Also has some pass rush ability. In my opinion, he's Cleveland Farrell-like, who's taken 4th overall in Oakland. Cleveland Farrell has a bit more athleticism, but Zachary Allen is not far behind. And they got him in the 3rd round. First pick in the 4th round, Hakeem Butler. I know you said you liked Hakeem Butler before the podcast, but Hakeem Butler, 6'6", 230 pounds. Coming into the combine, people were afraid he's going to run a 4'6", 4'7", 40. He ran a 4'4", being 6'6", which is incredible. He has ball skills, so high point the ball. He makes spectacular catches. Downside, he'll drop some of the easier balls thrown to him, slants, hitches. He'll have a few drops, but his ceiling is so high that getting him in the 4th round, it's a steal in my opinion. In my mock draft, I had him top of the 2nd. I had him right after N'Keal Harry and a few of those guys. So definitely Cardinals, one of the top classes this year in the NFL. Flip side, who do you think had the worst draft class in the NFL?
I think that Seahawks had one of the worst drafts because
I know that's your team, so it kind of hurts to say that. Yeah, for sure.
They picked linebackers.
Yeah.
But
lots of them.
Yeah. At this point, now they have a lot of them, and they pick more. But when we talk before the podcast, they need to get a fresh blood in their team.
Yeah.
It's true, but I don't like these picks.
Yeah.
They need to pick
the best player available.
Yeah.
You got to. They did reach at points in the draft, and it cost them. Even their 1st round pick, LJ Collier from TCU. TCU.
I like that they fill the gap from the
Frank Clark.
yeah.
Yeah, for sure. He was traded to the Chiefs.
I don't think that was a smart move, but
Well, I think they just didn't have the salary cap to. Frank Clark wanted a new contract, and I don't think with Patrick Mahomes playing like he is, Tyreek Hill, if he's still in the NFL, they're going to need a lot of money for that team, and they just couldn't pay Frank Clark knowing they had all these contracts coming up. But
I would like to see more linemen because
yeah,
they have street linemen.
yeah, Russell Wilson's running for his life literally every game.
Or edge players who will rush the quarterback because Seahawks have only linebackers who stay behind the defensive line.
Yeah. LJ Collier will get a little bit of pass rush. He's not a pure pass rusher like a Josh Allen or some of those other guys that were taken on top of the draft, but he's going to be good. One pick though you did like is DK Metcalf. Tell me a little bit about DK Metcalf.
I think you probably would be the first round pick.
Yeah, he should have been a first round pick. He has first round talent for sure. First round talent.
He was picked in the third round.
Third round. Yeah, it's the last pick of the second round. I think we saw something like that. Yeah, they actually traded up to take DK Metcalf, which I think is a great pick. Yeah. DK is a freak. At the combine, he had 2% body fat. I think he ran a 4.3. He benched. He jumped. The only thing about DK, scouts are a little worried about his route tree. In college, it's not his fault, but in college he only ran verticals, posts, a few screens. He was very limited in his route tree, but another receiver that was very limited in the route tree in college was Calvin Johnson. And I think these two players are pretty similar. Calvin Johnson played for Georgia Tech, if you remember. Georgia Tech ran a triple option, like a Navy-style triple option. And all they ran with Calvin Johnson is down the field. So when he came out, he was pretty raw too. He didn't have all the different route trees that you need to run in order to be good. So I think it's a good pick. I think with proper coaching, he has Russell Wilson. He throws one of the best deep balls in the NFL. So I think you can expect big things. Draft him in your fantasy league for sure.
I think that he needs more time to just feel the top three. Definitely.
But they're not going to ask him to do much more than verticals and posts and some screens off the bat. But expect Pete Carroll to teach him a little more intricacy as a receiver. He's going to be a great pick for you.
Yeah, but I think also that with him, the Seahawks will have the better receiver squad with Baldwin, Lockett, Moore.
Yeah.
But now Baldwin is questionable because he had so much injuries and. And now he's probably
retiring, possibly,
or getting 1 year off to rehab.
Yeah. I heard there's talk maybe about him retiring. So DK Metcalf, great pick. The only great pick I think in this whole class. I think the Giants for sure had the worst draft in my opinion. We talked about Daniel Jones.
Yeah.
In my opinion, Daniel Jones is a second round pick, a guy that you can take and you can expect him to be 15 to 30, one of the best 15 to 30 best quarterbacks in the NFL in maybe 2 years. I don't see him being a sixth pick of the draft. He just doesn't have that kind of talent. Dexter Lawrence is the next pick. I like Dexter Lawrence, but he's a one gap guy. He's a big guy. He's a one tech. The Giants play a 43 defense, so he fits. They just lost Snacks, what Tomlinson I think his name is. DeAndre Baker, they picked in the last half of the first round. DeAndre Baker is another slot type of cornerback, like a Byron Murphy we talked about, but he's not Byron Murphy. He's a tough corner, tackles, he can blitz, but in my opinion, they drafted him too early. Greedy Williams was there, Byron Murphy was there. Both those guys are better for a first round pick than DeAndre Baker. I like DeAndre, just not here. If we look farther in the draft, Julian Love is their only pick that I kind of liked. He's a cornerback from Notre Dame. He's more of a zone corner, more of a Richard Sherman type. Mm-hmm. If they use him right, he can be a good corner for them. And I think they got him in the fifth round. He's a third round guy, so that's the only bright spot. They drafted an edge from Old Dominion. I'll try to pronounce the name Oshane Zimenez. He has speed. He has some juice off the edge. He's going to be a good speed rusher if they use him correctly. Giants traditionally have good speed rushers. They had Strahan, they had Pierre-Paul, so they have good speed rushers. They know how to use them. He'll be serviceable. He'll be good. Julian Love, good pick. First round was a disaster for the Giants. You can't screw up 3 first-round picks. That's awful. All right, we're gonna switch topics. We're gonna get in more local, some Polish football news and topics. One big thing that we've been talking about, that a lot of leagues been talking about, is the struggles the Gdynia Seahawks have been having. What do you think is the problems? Where do you think the blame should lie? Tell me your thoughts on that.
I think that the biggest problem is the miscommunication.
Yeah, there's a lot of that.
They don't fit with the plays for the defense versus defense, like last game versus Lowlanders. They fucked up.
A lot of plays, yeah. There's a lot of miscommunication in that game.
Yeah, and the result of this is they cut the quarterback.
Oh yeah, that's big news. Breaking today. You mentioned something about there being a problem with replenishing the team. The juniors coming into the senior team.
Yeah, the biggest problem of them is that they don't have juniors to fill the gaps.
Yeah, I think we're aware of that. Yeah. That's true for sure. Anything else that you see in the Seahawks team? Any issues?
I think that they need to communicate more on the field, and it will be better on the next game.
I hope so, because we're watching the game now, and it's 35-7 or 35-6, one of the two. I predicted 42-0 before even hearing the quarterback was cut. I know you thought that it was going to be a tough game for them too. So another tough game. Hopefully they can bounce back. We'll see. I think my opinion about this situation is I watched a lot of film with them. I broke down their last game. I saw some holes. Cutting the quarterback, if it's an off-the-field problem, I can understand cutting the quarterback. If they're cutting him for his play, I think that there's more things that are wrong with that team than that quarterback. The protection, the scheme of the protection, not just the protection, not just man-to-man, but the scheme of the protection is terrible. Last game, they had numerous plays all throughout the game where the left tackle or the right tackle, depending, would not block the edge rusher. He would block down on the 3-tech, and they'd expect the running back to step up and take on these edge rushers that, in my opinion, the Lowlanders have great edge rushers. And when you expect the running back to block him one-on-one, what's going to happen? Second thing is the interior of their lines, offensively and defensively, are getting pushed around a lot. Defensively, I know the Lowlanders have a great offensive tackle or offensive guard, number 61. He's a huge guy. He's going to push most people around. But last game, if you watch the film, he was opening up gaps that you can drive a truck through. So also in the passing game, I know I like how they're moving Mazan around a little bit this year. In years prior, they threw him up on the outside at the X or the Z. It's how the run goes. They're putting him in the slot. They're moving him around. They're getting him different looks. I would like them to see them put him on the back end of a trips and get him one-on-one opportunities. They're hiding him in trips. They're hiding him in spread at the slot. They're running bubbles and slip screens, which I like, but their vertical passing game is, in my opinion, it's not where it should be. I'm not seeing enough shallows. I'm not seeing enough things underneath. They're going to draw the linebackers up and create space behind the linebackers and the safeties. Right now, it's just when they need to go vertical, they're going vertical, and that's not stressing the linebackers shallow and deep. So the deep half of the field is getting very blurred. It's not the quarterback's fault, in my opinion, on the field. He's a great athlete. He's a great runner. They need to use that more. When they won hurry up last game against the Lowlanders, they were moving the ball. It's creating confusion for the defense. It's allowing this good athlete that they signed in here to play quarterback to make plays with his feet. They need to do more of that, in my opinion. Now I don't know what they're doing with quarterback, so we'll see. But they need to do more than that, and their scheme, like you said, is just off. There's just something wrong. The junior problem, we know that well. They have how many of our juniors playing there?
Now I don't know.
More than I'd like to count. Which brings us into our next segment, which is let's take the two traditional powerhouses of Polish football. We have the Seahawks and the Panthers. What are the differences between how they get players, how they train their young guys? What do you see the differences in those two teams?
The basement of the Panthers Wrocław now is the rookies.
Yeah, the foundation of that team is the rookies, for sure.
Because maybe half of the team now is from the junior team.
We played some of them in 2016. Yeah.
They play versus the best in the teams in the Europe.
Yeah, definitely. They're a really good junior team.
That shows that Seahawks need to do the same thing.
Yeah, they're not investing in their junior program. You can't just throw money at a problem and expect to fix it. Right now, they're just trying to throw money and buy these juniors from smaller clubs like ours, which makes it impossible to build a strong club. They're just throwing money at the problem, but that's not the answer. The answer is what the Panthers are doing, what
Lowlanders,
the Owls are doing. Yeah, teams like that are building from the ground up. In the next couple of years, you're going to see a downward spiral of the Seahawks unless they can create some kind of youth program. That part of Poland has so many people. If they just create a youth program and put resources into that, they're going to help build their team. But in the next few years, whenever these guys are getting older and they're stopped playing, there's not much talent behind them to keep the level of that team. Right now, they're the third best team in Poland. Barely. They're barely the third best. The Falcons are right on their heels. If the Falcons get one win, that's all they need is mental. So you're right about that. That's not the way to build a team. The Panthers do it right. The Owls do it right. Even Poznan, they invested in their youth program. And it shows. Cosby and Patriots.
But now they don't have juniors, I think.
I'm not sure. But I know in the years past, Cosby was always a pretty good junior team, and Patriotchi was always a pretty good junior team. So with those teams combining, you have two good youth programs. I'm pretty sure that they'll create something because they've done it right for a long time. They've really set a blueprint for most of the Polish junior teams in Poland. Yeah. Good.
We can also say something about Andrew Story because we have fourth best young team in Poland.
Yeah.
And that shows that juniors will be better now in the seniors.
Well, if they stay here, yeah. So 2016, we got a third place finish, and we beat the second place team. So third place is just by default.
And we beat Panthers Wrocław.
Yeah, we beat. Yeah, little Torn Angels beat Panthers. That's awesome. Last year we got fourth place with a lot of young guys. So we have a decent junior program. We don't have a lot of resources like the Seahawks and the Panthers, but we do what we can, and we've created a lot of good players. But unfortunately, when these players, it's not a fault of their own, but when these bigger clubs come calling for them, it's hard for them to turn that down because this
is the opportunity for them.
Yeah, it's an opportunity because in Poland, your NFL is top league. Your NFL is Panthers Wrocław. It's Lowlanders. It's Seahawks. So I don't fault them, but again, that brings us back to the same problem with the Seahawks in how they run their junior program or don't run their junior program. You can't just throw money at a few players because it just doesn't work like that. You need to build it from the ground up, and they just haven't done it.
Dzięki bardzo, że zostaliście do końca. Na pewno zostawcie łapkę w górę, zasubskrybujcie kanał, by być na bieżąco oraz zostawcie komentarz, czy taka forma materiału Wam się podoba, a my widzimy się już w kolejnym materiale. Siema.
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 Siema.